Welcome to Shri Learning Academy. Let's simplify system components of operating system. Let's begin with the idea of processes, a topic that becomes very important later in the course when we explore scheduling, threads, and CPU management. A process is simply a running program. When you open your browser, that's a process. When you run a calculator app, that's another process. Even background tasks you don't see, like your antivirus, are processes. You can think of a process as a little workspace the operating system creates every time you start an application. Inside that workspace, the process gets its own resources, some memory, some CPU time, and access to files or devices it needs. What makes processes interesting is that the OS doesn't just run one at a time. It switches between them very quickly, giving the illusion that everything is happening at once. For example, imagine you're listening to music while saving a file and downloading something in the background. Each of these tasks is a process, and your OS is managing them like a skilled traffic controller, making sure each gets its fair share of CPU time. The OS keeps track of processes using internal data structures, and it decides which one gets to run next, when to pause it, and how to resume it. Although we will study this deeply in the process management section, here it's enough to understand that processes are the heartbeats of the operating system. Without them, nothing actually happens. Now, each process doesn't just float freely. It needs memory to store its code and data, and this brings us to the second system component, address spaces. Earlier, when we discussed the role of the OS, we mentioned that it manages memory. Address spaces are the way the OS gives each process its own private section of memory. Think of an address space like a personal room for each process. The process can arrange its variables, program instructions, and temporary data inside this room, and no other process is allowed to walk in and mess with it. For example, if you have two tabs open in your browser, say one playing a video and the other showing a news article, each tab might be running as a separate process with its own address space. The video tab should not be able to override the memory of the news tab. That would cause chaos. Address spaces stop this from happening. They create a clean boundary so one misbehaving process doesn't crash the whole system. Later in the memory management module, we will explore how paging, segmentation, and virtual memory make this possible. But for now, it's enough to picture each address space as a secure room that keeps processes isolated and safe. Once we understand memory, the next natural component to discuss is files. Files are everywhere. Your documents, your videos, system configuration data, even your apps. The OS uses the file system to store, organize, and retrieve information. If processes are like workers and address spaces are like their personal desks, then files are like the storage cabinets that hold everything they need. Without files, nothing would persist. The moment you shut off your computer, all your work would vanish. The OS has to maintain a structure, so files aren't just thrown randomly on the disk. It organizes them in directories, sometimes called folders. Inside these folders, individual files live with names, sizes, extensions, permissions, and timestamps. For example, if you save a photo named birthday JPG, the OS records not just the name but also details like when it was created, where it sits on the disk, and which users are allowed to read or edit it. This is why when you turn off your computer and turn it back on, everything is still there. The OS quietly does the work of saving and organizing data behind the scenes. Files also connect with other system components. For instance, to open a file, a process must first request it through the file system. The OS checks if the process has permission, finds the file on the disk, and loads the necessary data into that process's address space. So even something as simple as reading a text file involves processes, memory, and the file system working together smoothly. Just like files allow us to store data, the next major component, I/O or input-output, allows the computer to interact with the outside world. I/O refers to everything involving external devices, your keyboard, mouse, touchscreen, printer, speakers, and even complex hardware like cameras or SSD. Without the I/O system, a computer would be like a sealed box with no way for you to talk to it or for it to respond. The OS acts as a translator between the software and physical devices. For example, when you click your mouse, you are not directly moving anything inside the OS. Instead, the mouse sends signals to the computer. The operating system listens, interprets the signal, and informs the active process what happened. If you think about typing, it's even more interesting. Every key press on your keyboard sends electrical signals, and the operating system turns those signals into characters on your screen. I/O also handles storage devices. When you save a file, it's the I/O system that makes sure data travels from the process to the physical disk safely. And because every device works differently, the OS uses something called device drivers, small pieces of software that let the OS understand each device's language. For example, a printer driver tells the OS how to send data in a way the printer understands. Later, in the I/O systems module, you'll see how interrupt handling, DMA, and disk scheduling make this entire system efficient. For now, think of the I/O system as the bridge that lets the computer communicate with its surroundings. As we explore these components, there's one system feature we cannot ignore: security. In the earlier module on the functions of an OS, we briefly mentioned that an operating system must protect the system and its users. Now let's look at it as a standalone component. Security in an OS means making sure that users, processes, and files are safe from unauthorized access. Imagine living in an apartment building without locks. Anyone could walk into your room, look at your belongings, or steal your things. The same thing could happen inside a computer without proper security. The OS enforces rules about who can access what. For example, a student shouldn't be able to open confidential system files, and a regular mobile app shouldn't be able to read your passwords. The OS creates user accounts, passwords, permissions, and access control mechanisms. If a malicious app tries to access data it shouldn't, the OS blocks it. Security also ties into memory protection and process isolation. By keeping processes in separate address spaces, the OS prevents one app from spying on another. Real-world examples make this clearer. If a banking app tries to read your photos, your phone's OS will often ask for permission. This simple pop-up is the result of deep OS security mechanisms running behind the scenes. Later, in the security module, we'll explore threats like viruses and worms and how authentication and encryption protect us. But here, you only need to see security as a core OS responsibility that keeps the entire system trustworthy. Finally, we come to the shell, the part of the operating system that users directly interact with. While the kernel handles low-level system operations, the shell is the interface that lets you give commands. This can be a graphical interface like Windows Desktop or Android home screen, or a text-based interface like the Linux terminal. The shell listens to user commands, interprets them, and passes them to the kernel. For example, when you drag a file into the trash, the graphical shell interprets your action and tells the OS to delete the file. In a command line shell, if you type something like mkdir projects, the shell delivers this request to the OS, asking it to create a folder. The shell acts like a helpful receptionist, standing between you and the deeper system. You don't talk to the kernel directly, it would be too complicated. Instead, you talk to the shell and the shell talks to the system for you. This division becomes important later when we compare the kernel and the shell in more detail. Together, these system components, processes, address spaces, files, I/O, security, and the shell form the backbone of every operating system. Understanding them now will make the upcoming modules on scheduling, memory, file systems, security, and distributed OS much easier to follow because each new concept will connect back to these foundations. That is it for this video. See you in the next one.